Everything we learned from the Champions League in the penultimate match round is looking absolutely juicy on the final day. Man City have to win to stay in the competition. Can't believe I'm saying that. Opta did a prediction at the start of the tournament. There was a 0.4% chance that Man City wouldn't qualify out of this Champions League format. That's how bad Man City have been. Talking about them, Liverpool, Arsenal, and a couple of other sides performing incredibly well in the Champions League. An overview has to be, as we approach the final match round, that the format has benefited a few smaller clubs. I think it's benefited the neutral as well. The entertainment factor of the Champions League on the final day is going to be absolutely incredible. You could argue 90% of sides are fighting for a better position in the league, so they'd have to have the knockout, the playoff rounds to qualify through. And obviously major sides trying to even just stay in the tournament. Absolutely incredible scenes. And for the first year, the inaugural year, having Man City and PSG in and around those bottom positions, absolutely crazy. Let's just start off with Liverpool, because they've not even lost a game. They've not even drawn a game in this tournament. They've been absolutely exceptional. And Lille, you could argue, you're looking at this Lille performance for Liverpool. They didn't need to be at 100%. Obviously, it's important for Liverpool to keep up momentum. But Liverpool looked absolutely fantastic. And I think there have been criticisms, probably from myself at the start of the season. Can Liverpool's squad keep them going on 4 fronts this season? Obviously, they're still in 4 cup competitions. And you look at someone like Chiesa, you look at Harvey Elliott, they're making appearances off the bench. I know it's not as exciting as the players that started, but you have to talk about them because Chiesa, I mean, this guy looks so natural on the wing in the performance against Lille. Lille were a good side, by the way. They dominated the ball for large parts of it. They looked good in the first half. Harvey Elliott as well. I mean, he was imperative in that Brentford win, the kind of win that I thought will drive Liverpool towards winning their second Premier League title in the Premier League era. Massively important. And Harvey Elliott was absolutely fantastic. So you look at Liverpool's squad. Can they go all the way? Can they rotate? Can they bring players off the bench to influence things and make them better? And I think, obviously, when you look at someone like Harvey Elliott coming off the bench, Liverpool have got the kind of depth that maybe was a little bit underrated going into the start of the season and will be massive in the Champions League. How many big sides can make big substitutions at halftime and change things? I mean, PSG were doing it against Man City. You think Real Madrid have got an unbelievable bench, Bayern Munich, all these big sides. Liverpool actually have got a very, very good bench, and they can rotate the front 3. They can bring in Núñez. They can bring in Jota. It's absolutely exceptional. They've got a perfect record in the Champions League so far. It's crazy. But then here's the Champions League format, because you assume that Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Juventus will be nowhere near Liverpool in the knockout stages, and actually Liverpool could play one of them or Juventus as well. It's absolutely crazy that if you have underperforming big sides in the Champions League, you might actually get punished, especially if those big sides find form. Liverpool could end up playing against Real Madrid, Juventus, Bayern Munich, and maybe they turn a corner in the next couple of weeks and they find form. It's absolutely crazy, really. I mean, the Champions League format is spread out for such a long amount of time that you're not really judging a side on any kind of bit of form in one particular part of the season. You can have a really bad 3 or 4 months and then correct yourself going into the knockout stage of the Champions League and be underdogs. Even if you qualify 18th out of the Champions League, you can still win it if you're a big side with the quality players and experience. I think Real Madrid could qualify 20th in this league and still win the Champions League more than, basically every other side. So it does bring out the debate if it matters or not, or actually if Liverpool are going to get punished with a big fixture for having a perfect record and how much the early stage of the Champions League actually matters. It's very, very interesting. But Liverpool look absolutely exceptional. Salah scoring again. I think Arne Slot is getting the balance of the side right. He's rewarding good performances. He's kind of creating momentum in the squad. Harvey Elliott has a good game against Brentford. Obviously coming back from injury concerns in his own right. And then you play him against Lille as well, coming off the bench and making a difference. Very, very impressed with Liverpool. They look like a major, major force. Had to touch on Arsenal. Big win against Dinamo Zagreb. I know it's not the hardest opposition in the world, but the defensive security that Arsenal have, whether we like it or not, for the entertainment factor, is getting them over the line in the Champions League. They look professional, if not a little bit dry at points. And going forwards, Declan Rice could have had a hat-trick, really. He missed some big chances. Obviously scored a great goal in 2 minutes into the game. But again, it's a criticism I've always had of Declan Rice at Arsenal, because at West Ham, he actually did do this. He carried the ball from midfield. He'd scored big goals from midfield. And obviously did that on West Ham's winning European silverware. I've not seen it enough for Arsenal. Obviously only his second season at the club. But big goals, driving from midfield, arriving late in the box, Frank Lampard-esque, Steven Gerrard-esque. He's got the ability, the fitness. Don't know if he's got the technical ability of those players that I mentioned, but he can definitely arrive in the box and score goals, and that could be massive for Arsenal in the knockout stages. They're obviously going to qualify relatively easily. You do wonder if actually Arsenal coming a little bit down the table, obviously third at the moment, could benefit them based on some where the big clubs have finished. I want to talk about Atletico Madrid. I don't really talk about them much on this channel. I absolutely love what I saw. I love Julian Alvarez, the 2 goals that Atletico Madrid scored against Bayer Leverkusen. And Atletico Madrid, I think, got a wrong red card for Barrios early in the game, 25 minutes in. For me, it's not a red card. I think that you have to allow a little bit of follow through. If you've won the ball, VAR can make any challenge look bad. You have to let me know in the comments down below, but I think VAR can make any challenge look bad. It wasn't a red card for me, and Atletico Madrid still pull through with 10 men for 75-80% of the game. And Julian Alvarez, I mean, in particular, the first goal was just out. Well, the second goal as well, the way he takes it around the keeper, but the first goal, the way he carries the ball, the little finish roller into the bottom of the corner, it's absolutely outrageous. It really is. I'm so glad as a kind of semi-neutral. Maybe Man City get Atletico Madrid in the next round. Who knows? So I won't want him to play well, but I want Julian Alvarez to do well. And it's just fantastic. The fact that he's kind of progressing on. He might actually be the best player to leave Man City and actually build a career. Because you look at some of the City players that have left, they've never achieved more, if that makes sense, when they leave the club. And I think Alvarez could actually achieve a higher level personally, which is a rarity actually when you look at it. Think about Riyad Mahrez, Ilkay Gundogan, Leroy Sané. Decent careers since leaving. Jesus, Zinchenko, Sterling. But Julian Alvarez could be right at the top of the striking world at Atletico Madrid. And it's a Diego Simeone masterclass. I mean, Bayer Leverkusen were unbeaten in 11 games with 10 men Atletico Madrid win. They're a major force in the Champions League. Have to talk about Celtic very quickly as well. They're going to benefit from the Champions League format. Obviously, it's been 13 years. It must have been that Neil Lennon side that obviously famously beat Barcelona 1-0, got out of the group. I think they played Juventus that year and lost. But it's been 13 years for a club like Celtic to get out of the group stages. Absolutely incredible. And obviously the vibes at Celtic Park, huge. Obviously that little clip of the lad cheering with the young boys fans, unbelievable. So the atmosphere there. I mean, Celtic could definitely win the next stage. I mean, obviously when you get to round of 16, quarterfinals, semi-finals, they're not going to be there. They don't have the squad to do it, and they miss so many chances against young boys. But ultimately, Celtic, even just winning a knockout stage game would be huge for them. And I think they've got a good chance because you've got a lot of average sides that do qualify out of the Champions League. That's probably Man City is one of them as well. Let's be completely real. So Celtic look absolutely fantastic. To be getting out of the Champions League, I think is a major plus point for Brendan Rodgers, who a lot of people slagged off for going back to Celtic. But it makes a lot of sense now. I think he has unfinished business in Europe. Obviously, that's not winning Europe, but achieving a little bit more in Europe for that side that did the treble. I think Celtic doing well in the Champions League is a big ringing endorsement for including more sides in the knockout stages. It will be mental at Celtic Park, whoever they get in the knockout stages. Have to touch on Man City. I mean, it's been 18 hours of pensive reflection. I don't think City can do anything this season. I don't even know in the FA Cup, to be honest. I thought the FA Cup could be a good chance for City to win something this season or get to a final. I don't even know if City can do that. I think the defence is so bad. You talk about John Stones, talk about Nathan Ake, certain players that have had major injuries in the back line, losing Kyle Walker. The one player, if Ruben Diaz leaves the Man City back line in any capacity through illness, through injury, it looks like he has to be substituted at half-time to Pep Guardiola. I'm not 100% sure about that. Not to say that I don't know anything about his medical condition, of course not, but he looked fine to me to play. I mean, you've got to play through illness if your club needs it, in my opinion, unless he's majorly ill. I mean, I'm not a GP, but a bit of me thought it was a little bit light, the excuse that came out, because as soon as Ruben Diaz gets substituted, the whole back line disintegrate. It was mental. But I said at my review last night, John Stones had to come in light for light. John Stones and Akanji look far better than Gvardiol. Gvardiol isn't ready to be a centre-back in the Champions League at the moment. Then you've got Mateus Nunes and you've got Rico Lewis at fullback positions against Barcola, Dembele, absolutely mental. I mean, it is a chasm of quality that I've rarely seen. When Man City have faced anyone, there's always a level. You could say one player is better than the other, but the chasm between the defensive line for Man City's quality and PSG's front three was absolutely outrageous. It really was. Even Ramos had space to run into, and I think he's a very clunky footballer at best. Yeah, I don't know. I think Matheus Nunes was a level of frustration for De Bruyne. I think De Bruyne is trying to do everything physically. I think he's doing a lot physically, running with the ball, trying to carry it, push City up the pitch single-handedly. He looks a little bit off of it physically. I think it is his final season. From what I can gauge, he just looks like someone coming right at the end of their peak years, which is unfortunate, which is sad, which is emotional. But you can't build a side around De Bruyne, hopefully staying fit for 6 weeks at a time and trying to run everything through him. Because the thing with De Bruyne is he used to link up with Fernandinho, Aguero, Sterling, Sane, Silva, Bernardo Silva back then when he was younger and not as average as he's been in the last few weeks. Now he's still brilliant, De Bruyne. He's still getting assists. But he's linking up with players that don't understand the game in the same way. Matheus Nunes on his right. I mean, you should have seen some of his expressions to Matheus Nunes. He was absolutely livid with some of the runs that he wasn't making, Matheus Nunes. There we have it. I think City have still got a great chance. Club Brugge at home. If City can't win that game, it's an embarrassment, isn't it? But ultimately, it doesn't matter because City have to win knockout stage games after that, and that's just not happening with this back line. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you made it this far, make sure you subscribe to the channel covering the Champions League final match round next week. And I'll see you very, very soon.